do want to give you a little on the Red Sox, who open on Thursday. Opening day on Thursday. I think it's still blindsiding a lot of people, Paul. Yourself included?
By me failing the test.
Yep. Is that the deal?
I am looking forward to it in all seriousness, though, because of I think some of the things you're going to touch on here with some of the young guys in Crochet. It's probably the most I've looked forward to is the start of a season in 5 years.
So a lot of people feel that way, Paul. So can I just tell you quickly, I did link to a story in the email exchange this morning. Did you guys happen to see this, that there were, I think, six teams in baseball that ESPN deemed could take down the Dodgers? The sixth is the Red Sox, to which I say, keep it in your pants. Keep it in your pants. Let's not go that far just yet. Okay, now, again, there is some optimism entering this season, more than there's been in a very long time, as Paul Perillo noted. So while you patiently sit and wait on the line for us to get back to your football calls, let me just tell you this. I'm going to give you 3 takes. I might have exaggerated a little bit, Paul. That would blow your mind. It was a little strong. But I'm going to give you 3 takes on the Red Sox. First, the highlight that we played right there for you is Kristian Campbell hitting an opposite field home run in what was a 14-2 defeat to the Tampa Bay Rays over the weekend. Opposite field home run, always a good sign. Anytime you see a guy drive the ball out of the ballpark to the opposite field, suggests that he's a very difficult guy to pitch to. Because more often than not, that's where someone can't hurt you is away. If Campbell can drive the ball out to the opposite field with any sort of regularity, he's going to be a freaking force. Now, he has been told already that he's on the big league roster. That is according to a report on Mass Live by Sean McAdam and Chris Cotillo. And I would tell you that if that is true, and I have no doubt, or I don't have any reason to think that it's untrue, this thing was never a competition. It was never in doubt. The kid didn't hit all spring, and early on he looked shaky defensively. If it was a real competition, Marcelo Meyer would have won the job. The fact that Campbell is getting the job, I'm not telling you I'm upset about it. I'm just telling you it was decided before camp even started. Okay? I think they decided back then that he was going to get the job because they told Bregman he was playing third, and they let Rafael Devers pout about being the DH.
By they, you mean Alex Cora, the manager?
For the most part, Jimmy, but I also think, Craig Breslow and people were involved in at least discussions, but was Cora an advocate for Kristian Campbell? Probably. I'm just telling you, it was never an open competition. He had it sewn up before the thing even started. So, because he didn't have a great camp. So if they were going by the results on the field, he wouldn't have gotten the job.
.67 batting average against competition that would be equivalent to AA hitters.
So
AA
now,
pitchers.
So you want the good news?
No.
He had shown signs of life in the last week. So if the Red Sox were going to let him sort of play through his struggles, deal with any nervousness or anxiety, clearly that's what they chose. Okay, number 2. Trevor Story might be in big trouble, and I don't mean to start the year. Marcelo Meyer, if you ask me, is already breathing down his neck. Meyer had a great camp. Great. And Story, I saw some of this on Twitter over the weekend, and I didn't realize how bad it looked on Thursday until I saw the video this morning. Story made 2 throwing errors on Thursday, one of which was high and wide, that Casas never had a chance at first base. The other was in the hole, and you know where the cutout is in the corner of the infield at each of the bases? There's a little cutout in there.
Sure.
He bounced the throw. Now, again, that was as far back as the cutout. Trevor Story doesn't have the same arm he used to, and this has been true for a bit.
Right.
But as the year goes on, particularly if he's fighting any sort of back issue, which has happened a couple of times in spring training, Meyer's going to get called up at some point to play if this guy's not in there. And when he does, I'm not sure Trevor Story's going to get the job back. Now, it creates this whole issue of left-handed versus right-handed again in the lineup, because I think a big reason Campbell ended up at second base and he was a shoe-in to get the job, was because he hits right-handed, and they needed to get a righty bat in there. That's what gave him the edge over Meyer. But the gap between Meyer and Story is not huge. And so I would keep an eye out on that. And third, and this might be the biggest one, according to Chris Cotillo of Mass Live, who tweeted out at the end of last week, Garrett Crochet is not close to signing an extension. Now, that could all change in the next 48 hours or 72 hours.
It won't.
Crochet has said that
Seems informed.
he would not sign a deal or would not negotiate after opening day. He has no reason to accept a below-market deal at this stage, and he's going to be a free agent at the end of 2026. So here's what I'm telling you. The Red Sox gave up a couple of first-round picks for him in prospects, but one was obviously Kyle Teal. The other was
Brandon Montgomery.
Brandon Montgomery. Thank you, Jimmy. I was going to say the outfielder whose name escapes me. They took him in the first round a year ago. So they gave up both of those two guys. They did not do it to let Garrett Crochet walk after 2 years. He's got them by the balls. I want to see if the Red Sox belly up and pay this guy.
They won't.
So let's see how this goes.
Horribly.
A year from now, he will be threatening to enter the season without a contract extension. And if he hits free agency, he's gone.
Right. I would totally agree with that. But just to play the other side. So assuming that Crochet is playing this the same way, he's not going to accept less. So if the Red Sox want to re-sign him, they're going to have to pay for him anyway. Might they be beneficial to wait the year anyway? It's going to cost them either way. You're not going to get a bargain doing it now. Like, I would totally understand. You do it early, you save money. But it seems like Crochet's intent on not doing that, not accepting, say, the Brian Bayo kind of a deal, right? So it's going to cost you a lot of money. Why not have more information and see how he holds up over a whole year and see what happens?
I'm sure that's how they're thinking about it, Paul, but the price will go up.
And the difference is $100 million, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, like, to me, like, I think the Red Sox would do it today if they could. I don't think Crochet was interested.
I think there's a money issue there.
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely a money issue there.
And it's the Red Sox are offering, say, 170 for 5 years. Crochet wants, say, 210 for 5 years. If Crochet gets Cy Young votes and he wins the Cy Young Award and has a full season, next year it's 5 years, $300 million. The Red Sox will not pay that.
All right, so what if he spends a couple of stints on the IL? Then where does the number go? But he pitches well, but he's not as durable as you'd like.
I think the comp for what they're looking for just happened over the weekend. This Tyler Bibby had
the Guardians.
Yeah, had an extension with them that was around, I'm just looking at 5 years at 48, going into his third season, 26 years old, 56 career starts, 315 in 2 quarters innings pitched. That's more than Crochet's ever pitched. And 219 is what he has in 104 appearances. So that's what they're looking for, something in the $50 to $60 million range, which if you're Crochet in his camp, you laugh at because you're looking for like $100 million. It's just, are you willing to give him $100 million now for a guy that you don't know if he's that durable?
$200 million, Jim. $200 million. That's what Crochet is looking for. $200 million.
I'm just telling you, this is going to be a big problem. This guy's going to want some dough, a lot of it.
Yep.
And he's going to be looking at, call it anywhere from $25 to $35 million a year. That's what he's going to want, and he's going to want it for at least 6 years. So the Max Fried deal was what, 7 years, $218 million or something like that?
The David
Jimmy?
Price contract.
Okay, it was something like that. This guy's going to be looking for something like that at a minimum. At a minimum. So if I'm him, I'm not signing. I'm not. The Red Sox are the ones that got to keep the player. So it's just something to keep an eye on. Big stakes with Garrett Crochet and the Red Sox this
year.
Enjoy
your year and a half for this guy before they trade him in next year's deadline.
Well, so, and Jimmy, this is my other concern, that when the Red Sox typically have acted this way with free agents, they've neglected to get deals done with the higher end ones. So, for example, John Lester, they lost him. Mookie Betts, they lost him. They were always a year behind. So just something to watch as we go forward. And look, they might be right. He might get hurt, and all of a sudden they'll look great. So this is, again, then on the field you want him to pitch, but at the negotiating table you want him to lose. And this is something the Red Sox have done historically with a lot of guys. They end up rooting against their own players.
Yeah, I could see what you're talking about.
So to me, it's, if you want the guy and you want to sign him for 7 or 8 years, then offer him what he is worth over those 7 or 8 years. He'd have to give up 5 or 6 years of free agency, which means in that range of $30 million for those 5 or 6 years. Pay him the 7 and the 220 and get it done. Or don't and let him walk.
That'll be what happens.
So, but I have my concerns with Jimmy. Like this whole idea of let's dink around and give him a Brian Bayo deal. If I were the player, I'd tell you to pound sand, and then I'd pitch well to shove it up your backside.
And he will.